Right now, we'll have a local on Reliance Partners EVP and GM. It's Ashley Hammonds. Ashley,
How are you?
I was looking at your background, man. You've been in Chattanooga and with Reliance for a very long time.
Employee number 2.
Wait, what? I did not know that. I did not know you'd been around. Well, okay, so I got to
time.
ask you a very important question before we get into natural disasters, because we have a big conference coming up here in Chattanooga, November 19th. A lot of Chicago guys are going to come out here. They're going to want to know where to find the best pizza in town. What's your pick?
Pizza Bros.
Oh, yes, same choice. Cherokee Pizza Bros, that's my spot.
That's my spot. Every Friday.
Every Thursday after my kids do Kempo, my family, we have a tradition. We head on over there. It's an awesome time.
Love it.
Now, you came at a very good time. So we're in the middle of hurricane season. In the southeast, very close to us, there's been 2 devastating storms that came through, Helene and Milton. We all saw the videos online, right? You saw trailers getting smashed through. You saw trucks inside people's homes, on top of churches, in trees. It was a giant mess. And a lot of people since they've had some time to clean up, have started thinking, how is this going to impact my insurance rates? And what happens, like, even if your truck gets stuck in a storm like that? So let's go there. Let's talk about natural disasters, now insurance impacts them.
So rate-wise, obviously, it's a business. So, these carriers, if they take big losses, they've got to, find a way to claw themselves back out. From an overall rate increase, I don't believe you'll ever see just a massive increase as far as, nationwide, just because of a hurricane. But yes, you'll see incremental increases in a rate for sure. Try to get back into it.
Actually, are most trucks like that? That's like one of the first things. My dad's from insurance. So it's like one of the first things I think of too. When you see all those destroyed trucks, are a lot of those probably covered by insurance? Does a traditional policy cover that type of damage? Do you need?
Yes, comp and collision. Comp and collision will pick that up.
So if you just get washed out by a flood, you got your comp and collision. What should you do? Should you find yourself in that situation? Maybe your yard got washed out. Maybe one of your drivers was out there. He had to leave the truck. It got washed out. What do you do in a situation like that?
Just get it reported as quickly as possible. Obviously, you kind of want to mitigate as much as you can. Rent a backup truck, get a driver in it. You got to get freight delivered. So, it's tough to just shut down and completely not do anything. But in certain circumstances, it's all you can do. So that's what the carriers are for.
What do you recommend when storm season is approaching? Because one thing when I'm always talking to insurance, like, great, coverage is fantastic, but what's even better is preventing something from happening in the first place. So what do you usually tell people to keep their stuff out of harm's way?
If you can get out of Dodge, if you got a hurricane coming into Tampa like it was, a lot of people started moving trailers, started moving as many trucks as they could possible. At the end of the day, there's just only so much you can do. So as much as you can prevent and get it out of the eye of the storm, it's the best route.
What you can do, get out of the eye of the storm. Yeah. Well, look, a lot of trucks get damaged in these kind of things, a lot of issues. What else is going on at Reliance right now? What else are you guys seeing in the market? Are you seeing any recovery?
Yeah, it's been positive. We've seen a little trickling over the course of the last 3 or 4 months where, there's a lot of positive signs. We're seeing some new ventures enter back in the market. That's always been one of my biggest indicators when that guy comes back out and wants to start his authority back. He's been leased on during the bad times. And new folks are wanting to enter into the industry. And it's not huge by any means, but, we're seeing a lot more positive than we are negative.
We keep seeing the nuclear verdicts and everything roll through, and those always seem to be contributors to the rise in insurance rates. But the other big one this year has also been freight theft, just straight up cargo and freight theft. How is that impacting stuff? Like, I know a lot of, they put out their top 10 concerns, right? And one of the ones on the carrier side was those insurance rates going into next year, that concern about continued escalation.
Huge. We're seeing a lot of the brokers, especially on the broker policy side, just massive increases due to theft. It's rampant. As many checks and balances as you can do to check out and see if these carriers are legit. I was in trucking for most of the early 2000s, and it was happening then, but just not the same level of technology that I have now. It is impressive. That's going to be a game changer when it comes to insurance rates, though.
Yeah, so hard natural disasters you actually don't see really moving the needle, but this pervasive freight theft and freight fraud that we're seeing is. I agree. Like when I was out with I was actually out with Reliance Partners. I was in Atlanta, and they had a NASCAR event, and there's a lot of heavy hitters there with them. And I asked those guys, we were out at the reception afterwards. I was like, what's your issue right now? And the guy's like, I would take a damage claim. I would take a simple double brokering, because the real issue right now is just people coming to the docks and just completely taking the freight. And the problem is, it's not even just the value of the freight, it's the value of the relationship that they just stole, because a lot of times you end up losing that as a customer. As we look ahead to 2025, what should carriers be doing to mitigate some of these cost increases?
Safety, safety, safety. Like I said, I mean, that's we've seen that probably change over the course of the last 20 years since I've been doing this. Keeping up with your driver's safety just goes such a huge way. Also jumping in claims, not just, relying on the insurance carrier to completely do everything. Try to get in and get it closed as quickly as possible. We have a lot of carriers that sit on their hands, and that claim amount just builds. Storage fees build, lawyer fees build. I mean, it's just, they grow and grow and grow. And next thing you know, it's your rates for the next 5 years have skyrocketed, and you could have solved a lot of them with a couple easy phone calls.
Have you there's this sort of idea that like law enforcement doesn't take enough interest in the theft side of freight. On the insurance side, do you have to investigate these things? Like, what are you uncovering when you investigate one of these?
The insurance carriers, they do investigate, they do take it serious. At the same time, sometimes they just gotta kind of write off the loss and move on. You get 35 trailers of TV stolen on a Tuesday. It sends the alarms up. The flares start going out, and they want to figure out what's going on. At the same time, you've got 2 or 3 fatalities, so you have to triage on the same day of what's most important. So it's they are watching them. I mean, without a question. But again, it's a row of importance.
Yeah. Ashley, what else are you watching out there? Like, one of the big stories, obviously CSA scores have been a big one. The other one has been the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse. Those rules, I believe, they change next month. And there's like 160,000 drivers or something in there that are out of service. I know that's sort of a headwind that's coming up. What are you guys seeing?
Like I said, it's still pretty heavy. It's high on 2 things. 1, overall carrier safety with FMCSA, and 2, losses. Losses are always going to be the biggest driver. That is, there is some InsurTech that's coming in that's watching these ELDs and watching cameras and figuring out, where these trucks are going, when they're going. I mean, that makes them happy. But at the end of the day, that they've got to watch these losses and try to keep those as low as possible. That's what's going to lead the pack as far as rates.
How do people get in touch with you? How do we learn more about Reliance Partners and all the services that you guys have to offer?
ReliancePartners.com. Main line is 877-668-1704. Find us on Facebook, Twitter.
Now, let me ask you one last question. From your local perspective, so Pizza Bros, of course, try a slice of pizza. You want to try the best pizza Chattanooga has to offer. Anywhere else, one other spot out in the region that while you're in the scenic city, you have to take a look at?
River Street Deli.
River Street Deli, man, you're an eater. You're a foodie. You like to get this crowd full.
Yeah, it's good. It's the best in town.
Well, hey, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you stopping by the show. Take care.
Appreciate it.
All right, coming up and by the way, thank you listeners for joining as well. Coming up on Friday, we're going to finish up that documentary. We also have a WIDA on. They've got some news about a lot of investments that are going on in truck parking. I got their press release earlier today. Here's just a teaser. $17.9 million is going to Ohio Truck Parking Expansion Project. We've got $12.5 million going to the I-43 safety rest areas and truck parking expansion. We've got $275 million going to the I-80 East Lane addition and shoulder widening. So a lot of interesting stuff coming up. Can't wait for Friday. Thanks for joining us. If you missed any of this show, you can look it up wherever you get podcasts. Just look in What the Truck. If you want to watch the video version, you can go to FreightWaves YouTube channel. What the Truck's there. Got an entire playlist. You can watch this live on FreightWaves social media like X and LinkedIn at noon Eastern Time, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And of course, you can catch the replay on SiriusXM's Road Dog Trucking channel 146. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 5 and 11 p.m. Eastern Time. Exit through the gift shop. Go to WTTgear.com. Follow me on Twitter at Timothy Dooner. That's DOONER. Take care and don't be a stranger.